Hi, everyone. This is Aaron, and welcome to our SOLA Network podcast. This special episode was recorded live on Instagram with SOLA Network editor Hannah Chao. We talk about part one of our series, The Woman Jesus Loved, our recent articles regarding COVID-19, why we need artists during COVID-19, and what God has been teaching us this month. Thanks for listening. Hi, everyone. This is Aaron from SOLA Network. I am the assistant digital marketer here. And for the first time ever, we are going to be going live on Instagram. I'm going to ask SOLA editor Hannah Chao to join us. Hannah, let's see if I can get you in the chat. Just joining us. Hannah, we are here.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you. And can you hear me clearly?
I can hear you very clearly. I feel like we're Steph Curry and Aisha Curry having like a Instagram live moment.
I'm a little bit scared because, typically you and me don't really show our faces on the SOLA Network internet. I'm scared that we're going to lose followers or just people subscribing to us.
I feel like we're pretty cool. We're pretty cool, Aaron.
I don't know. I feel like it's not cool to say that you're cool, but it's okay. It's okay. Hannah, we were supposed to meet this week, actually.
Yes.
We were supposed to meet at SolaCon 20.
Yeah. So if you guys don't know, this weekend was supposed to be our SOLA conference, which is our yearly gathering of Asian American Christians, mostly in SoCal. But we canceled it actually quite a while ago.
Yeah.
Because of coronavirus concerns. And so this was supposed to be that weekend. But Aaron and I wanted to meet and just talk and chat and kind of fill that SOLA convoy.
You and I never met in person. So let's just get it out there.
Yeah.
You and I have never met. This was supposed to be the weekend where we did.
Yes.
And even though the conference was canceled, we still can't meet anyways because we're on quarantine.
Yes, we are safer at home, as our mayor and governor like to say.
Yeah, but we've met online multiple times, so this is not new for you or me to be meeting here.
And that is, the power of the internet. A lot of our churches are online now on Sundays. SOLA has pretty much been digital only.
Yeah.
We don't have an office. We just meet on Airtable and Google Docs and Gmail.
Yeah.
And so this is on the course for us, and we're just chugging along.
Yeah. Well, Hannah, thanks for being willing to go live with me tonight. I guess
I gotta get a good angle.
We're also learning new things. Oh, yeah. No, you're fine.
It hurts my arm.
You're fine. Oh, yeah. Yeah, save your arm, though. Save your arm. That's very important for your job. We are stuck at home. How have you been using your time at home?
Yeah, I think one of the things that I think I've been struggling with a lot with this changes because of coronavirus is just the lack of productivity or the lack of measurable productivity. So I'm a mom. I have two kids.
Right.
I work for SOLA. I work as an admin at my church. And so I usually have very measurable goals, right? Like this many articles. I have to, numbers 1 through 10 on my admin checklist every day. But it's different now because SOLA's the same. So that's good. But I have to redo all my admin work because we don't do bulletins anymore, which I used to print, right? All of our events have been canceled, which I used to help, coordinate rooms and staff. And putting together a whole new live service is a whole other beast where it takes way more time for our pastors and staff to put together than a normal Sunday service. And so it has been quite a challenge to figure out what does it mean to be productive when everything is topsy-turvy. And on top of that, I have, especially, we both actually have two kids, but I have two kids running around and I have to have one with classwork. My younger one doesn't have school, but she just wants to play, and she understands that we're busy, but she doesn't, understand that all the time.
Yeah.
And so, it has definitely, I read an article where basically they said, if you're working from home with kids, take your to-do list, cut it in half, and then cut it in half again. And that's all you'll get done.
Nice. Yeah, I really do feel like the days are like shorter. I mean, I'm sure for other people, they feel like the days are longer, right? But for me, the days feel shorter. I feel like there's not enough time to do everything that we want to do. Yeah, I can't imagine having to kind of grown children, right? Trying to live their lives as well.
Yeah, there have been some terrible days, at least one terrible day where we just had meltdown after meltdown, but there have been good days. I mean, honestly, to be able to intentionally spend more time with my girls has been usually a blessing. Although breaking news, everyone, my eldest daughter, who just lost her first tooth about 30 minutes ago.
Nice, congrats. Yeah.
She called to me from her room and said, "Mommy, my tooth is coming out." And I was like, "Okay, girl, like whatever." But she comes out, she's bleeding a little, and then I just snatched it out of her mouth.
Oh, nice.
She was thrilled. I was thrilled. Dad was thrilled. The younger one was sleeping, so she missed it. But amazing things are happening during the coronavirus.
Yeah, no, those are some true moments.
Milestones.
And, Hannah, you've been able to actually still do a lot of work for SOLA Network. I saw that you've been pushing out the articles, and actually we did several for the series The Woman Jesus Loved, right? Why don't you tell us what's going on with that exactly?
Yeah, so we had an ongoing series for March called The Women Jesus Loved, where we had women contributors who've published things with us before just share their thoughts and devotions based on some of the women Jesus ministered to and his time on earth. Yeah. And we did maybe 4 of those articles, devotions, and they were great. But then the coronavirus thing just went, excuse the pun, viral.
Right.
We pivoted a little bit. That's kind of on hold until April. I think actually April 1st or 2nd, we're going to kind of ease back in. So we've been having about 2 a week.
Okay.
And so actually the first one's going to be by our friend Susan Park, who was on our podcast episode 2.
Yes.
And also she wrote our most read article of last year, which was an open letter to our complementarian brothers.
Right.
But anyway, so but I've actually been asking some of those sisters, hey, do you want to kind of talk a little bit about COVID a little bit? So in my devotion that I did on Martha and Mary, I talked about it. And she actually, adjusted it a little bit too. So I'm excited. I'm still excited to have that happen, especially as Easter is coming up.
Right.
And a lot of these we wanted to really push during, especially Passion Week. So I'm okay with that.
Yeah. I did notice the pivot in your article. Was it hard to incorporate
It's hard. Yeah, it's hard to when you have a plan to have to change everything. Very much like most of us have to do now, but I do think that being timely and current is important to our readers, right? We want to give them the resources and the just helping people to process during this time, which especially as Asian Americans, which our audience mostly is, I think we see COVID-19 a little bit differently. For example, I was talking to a lot of my friends where a lot of us actually live with our parents, right? We are in contact, or even grandparents. And so we're actually in contact with a lot of people who are older and elderly. And, and as we all know, those people are more susceptible to some of the more serious complications. I think that we as a culture are a little bit more careful, but also more cognizant of the real effects about it, which is, I think, why so many of our churches that happen to be multi-generational or have a different, cultures like, first gen, second gen, et cetera, we've had to take more precautions because of those things. And I think that's something that we haven't explicitly talked about, but I do think it's in the forefront of all of our authors' minds that, this is hitting very close to home.
Yeah. I do understand what you're saying where we all have different living situations. Because, I don't live with my parents, but we were hoping that they would be able to help us with childcare. But that's not the case anymore. Wow. I know some have their parents come and help still, but we don't want to take any chances here. And so, it affects everybody in so many different ways. Well, Hannah, thank you for continuing to push out the Woman Jesus Loved articles, but still, kind of making them sort of relevant to our current situation, what's going on. Why don't you talk to us about all the COVID-19 articles that we do have? You said that they were kind of coming in really quickly.
Yeah, so we're really blessed now that SOLA Network has been around for a while, that we have several, we have many contributors who have a relationship with. So, for example, Tony Thomas did the 2-parter on he called it the COVID exile, and how it's really helping us to reconnect with our families. That was something he just emailed me. He's like, hey, I'm thinking about this. Let me publish it. And I was like, let's do some edits and then we'll do it.
Nice.
So that was good. I mean, I've also been just scouring people's Facebook groups and posts. So Kevin Yee, he had a little mini I guess post on Facebook kind of talking about, hey, like youth workers, like what are we doing? Are we just playing games with our kids, or are we really going to help them process this loss and grief? And I was like, hey, you should totally write this. And so he did that. And I think there's something about the timeliness of all of these articles that people are willing to write them down. And I think people are more forgiving if they're a little bit less complete and cohesive. Especially, for example, Kevin Yee's article, like he was like, hey, like I feel like I haven't fully come to grips with like what it means. And I was like, I think that's fine. I think you're just putting out like, hey, like this is a need. I don't know what that is yet, but we can, come together as the body of Christ and really support each other. And so I think, and then another thing that I'm trying to do is the COVID-19 diary. So my husband, he wrote just this little thing or on his Instagram story about how he was feeling anxious. And I was like, turn that into an article. Right. And again, it's not a full like a Devo we would have published in the past. I would have been like, hey, like I think this is too simple. Like where do we go from here? But I really think that these kinds of short diaries and just like mini psalms, I guess, right? Because not all the psalms have resolutions, but they are real and they're expressing what's happening in our lives. And so I think even giving opportunities for people to just share their thoughts, I think is really helpful, and it helps our audience.
So when you're getting all these COVID articles coming in, like what are you looking for as the editor? Even though like you just said that like, you're not expecting them all to be formed maybe, or even like have some type of like real resolution at the end. But what are you looking for in terms of like, okay, this one we should probably put up on the website, or this one could be helpful for, our readers?
I think that if we, I think the best thing to do is just read the ones we've done so far. So, for example, the first one ended up being about anxiety. I actually have one sneak preview for you guys listening in coming up next week on does what I do at work matter, right? I'm not directly in the front lines, but does it matter?
Sure.
And so and that's a question that, the author just kind of struggles with and tries to come to an answer. And then, so I think if you, but if it's any kind of emotion, where, we can really speak the truth of Christ and wrestle with the truth of the gospel, then I think it would be great. And these tend to be maybe 800 to 1,000 words, not super long. Right. So if you write something that's short, but for example, if I got a lot of submissions, then we could always do a roundup, right? We could pick like letters to the editor sort of thing. So the more you guys give me to work with, the more I can do. So I think in that way it can be a powerful witness. All of us sharing our little stories.
Hannah, thank you for putting those COVID-19 articles out. They're really timely. Everybody, if you haven't checked them out yet, please go to our website. Everything is there on the front page. Our webmaster, Isaac, kind of did like a really quick redesign of it. So go check it out. Hannah, you wrote on your newsletter recently. So if you guys are just tuning in, me and Hannah are part of SOLA Network, but Hannah has a separate newsletter that she does on her own on Substack. Hannah's Thinking Cap, that's what it's called.
Yes.
And Hannah, in your newsletter, you wrote that you basically put a call for artists. You said that we need artists during this time. Now, you did have a disclaimer. You said, "Hey, we do need healthcare workers, and we do need people
vaccine?
we need a vaccine." But you did say, you said specifically though, "Hey, we need artists to come out and impact the world during this time." Can you elaborate on that a little bit for me?
Yeah. So another thing we were going to do in April, which we might have to push. Well, we're still figuring it out. We were going to talk about art and worship and creativity. And so one of our contributors, her name is actually Sarah Kang. She's one of the people I linked to, Sarah Kang Music, in my newsletter. And I asked her to write about, how can Christians support our artist friends, right? Just very like typical post. And and then as we're going through drafts, and I was just like, so that's one thing that was on my mind. And the other thing that was on my mind is, I did see kind of an outpouring, especially on Twitter, of people just sharing music, especially singing or people playing piano, or that there's that viral video of Yo-Yo Ma playing the cello, dedicating it to healthcare workers. And I legit teared up watching that. And so I think that's the combination of those things just made me realize like, oh, there's such power in artists helping us to process our emotions. And so then, that our newsletter came out really fast because I do think there is something so powerful about things like music, art, even words, poetry, to help us to understand our emotions. They often say that sometimes you don't really understand a feeling till you can name it, right? Like you don't know you're sad until someone asks you, "Hey, are you sad?" And you're like, "Oh, I am sad." And I think that in the same way, we see that with art. Like you might be listening to music and start crying, and you're like, "Oh, there was something in me that needed to come out." And so for me to see my friends continuing to create, to A, help us process the now, and B, to help us look forward to the future. Because I think that's another thing that art does well. It helps us to move forward. And they're all trying to create. And I think for them, it can feel a little weird to promote themselves during the COVID-19. But but I think it's so important for us to help us to normalize that for them so that they can help us. For example, I'm going to plug Sarah King Music again. But like she, for example, released a song today and it was so fun. It was like a little dance, like groovy song, little like a club song, not like club, like a small jazz club song. But it was
so very different types of clubs.
Yes, different kind of club. But it made me smile. It made me happy. It made me think about like just like fond memories that I have of being with my husband. It's about dancing with someone you love, and so I think there is something so important about supporting artists during this time, and also having them help us to process.
Sort of related. I really do miss singing with the church. Just corporately. And I'm not saying that like, oh yeah, like it's like artistry or like it's like a performance. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is that like like that sort of music, that sort of art, it has a place. And when it's not there, I think we feel it, we miss it. The church is supposed to sing together. And so when we're not able to, it really does affect us. I think it is good though, when the musicians, the artists at church are able to go online for this brief period and just kind of share a little bit, get out in the world.
Yeah, I saw you playing a little bit of keys too, Aaron.
I did. Yeah, I was inspired by you. Well, okay, I was inspired by you, and then also I follow the Gettys, Keith and Kristen Getty, on Instagram and Facebook. They did like a family like singing thing on Tuesday, and it was just them, their family, and they're playing piano, and they're just playing and singing, and people were watching live, and I was like, you know what, this is really awesome that they're able to do this and just kind of share hope and joy with the world. Obviously, they have a way bigger platform than anybody I know personally. But I mean, they're just able to do that, and I thought that was awesome.
Yeah. Did you see the one with the choir from Nashville that sang "It Is Well"?
I saw. I know what you're talking about, but I did not see it.
You have to watch that. So if you guys are on Instagram after this feed is over.
After this is over. Right.
Don't if you Google like Nashville choir, "It Is Well," they do it. Please watch till at least the 2-minute mark, because then you will watch to the end. Because the first minute or two, you're like, oh, this is nice, but then after minute 2, like it goes up a level. But that song, I think a lot of people really enjoyed. So, like Gal Gadot had led like the celebrity scene, Imagine, and a lot of people kind of like, wow, how tone deaf. Like, celebrities telling us it'll be okay.
Right.
But I saw a lot of Christian Twitter retweeting this Nashville choir singing it as well, because it's like, these are all unknown people, but we're singing to the same God in one voice in unison. And it was, and I think that's what the church can do online, right? Like we're all separated, but we can sing in one voice together to the same God.
And for everybody who's listening or watching this, I hope that SOLA Network does encourage you to also, put yourself out there and submit stuff to us. And we'll see what we can do to partner together for the gospel. Hannah, what has God been teaching you during this time? Obviously, you just mentioned a lot, but we're going to wind down. We're going to wind down now, and this is how we close our conversations.
Yes, with what we're learning.
Yeah, tell me what God has been teaching you.
I think the biggest thing is just letting go of control. As a mom, as a wife, as a worker, and as my personality, I think that if people do things my way, then everything will be fine. And if they don't do it my way, then it's their fault, and I'm allowed to be mad at them. My kids feel the brunt of this, but I think God's really teaching me, like, you have very little under your control. I can barely control when I wake up in the morning these days, but that He really just asks for just a little bit of faith, a little bit of patience, a little bit of gentleness. And then it makes the world of difference to my family and to me. And so for me, just letting go of control, and also to take walks outside. It's very nice.
That's beautiful, Hannah. Thank you for sharing that. So I've been at home. We gave birth to, or my wife gave birth to our child. We have a second son now. His name is Ark, A-R-K, Ark. And I was supposed to go back to work this week, but because of COVID-19 and like what I talked about to you earlier, like our parents aren't coming over to babysit just because they're scared. And I work at the hospital. And so like if I went to work and I came back to my kids and then my kids, catch anything and then it transfers to their grandparents, like that wouldn't be an ideal situation. And so I made arrangements with my work to, stay home during this time, and we'll just keep evaluating until the situation changes. But, in all honesty, like I was scared and anxious and worried, I still am a little bit. And so I think what God has been teaching me is, Aaron, you think that, your whole life is secure, maybe like along the same lines of you, like, Aaron, you think you have control over things. Well, you don't, and so roll with the punches, trust God, and pray, and just kind of just live your life in trusting God with everything, whether it's your family or your career or anything else you want to do. So that's what God has been teaching me personally.
Awesome. I think that's so crazy that this is happening to you right now.
Yeah.
But I'm glad you have a flexible work situation. Hopefully your check from the government will come soon.
Right. I know. Well, yes. And Hannah, thank you for making the time to do this live podcast. I guess that's what great. We also, we benefited from this. I guess we can go live now, and hey, we did it once. Maybe we can do it again. But thanks, Hannah. Have a good night. And
thanks for everyone for watching.
Have a good weekend too. Bye everybody. Thanks, Hannah, for being my guest on the show, and thank you everyone for listening. If you have a question to ask Hannah, send them to our email address, podcast@sola.network. TGIF is a linkless column I curate for SOLA Network every Friday. Be sure to check that out, and you can also subscribe to it via email. I'll put the link in the show notes. SOLA Network exists to influence the emerging generation with the gospel of Jesus Christ. Visit us online at sola.network and follow us on Facebook and Instagram at the SOLA Network. In the show notes, you'll find the link to our SOLA Network podcast feed, and you can also subscribe on YouTube or Spotify. Just search for SOLA Network. Thanks. See you soon.